And welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. We're hoping that we're not in slow motion, but on coming on here on this program, we were a little in slow motion. So hopefully everything is going to turn out good when it gets to Facebook and YouTube, and maybe we won't be behind. But right now, it's not looking good as far as on our side. Now, it could be great somewhere else. But thank you so much for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside Now. This is our top 100 wrestlers and number 75. If you've not watched the other ones, they are available on YouTube. You can go and watch that. We're 100 to 76. You can go see that right here on YouTube. 75, the Junkyard Dog. Now, to some people, they do not believe that he should be on the top 100 list. Again, I think it's because they read certain things about him in the Wrestling Observer. They called him, I think, was it not the junk food dog or something like that? Yes. I don't know why, but Dave Messer did not like the Junkyard Dog. Now, I don't know why. Evidently, he never saw him in Louisiana and how over he was. And to a certain extent, even in Georgia for that little small bit of time, he was over there as well. Junkyard Dog deserves to be on the top 100 list. Even when he went to the WWF, he was almost like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which was number 76 on my list. They didn't do much with him in the WWF, but he was over majorly there, and I think it comes from people read and knew who the Junkyard Dog was from the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines. Jack, the Junkyard Dog.
I thought he was great. Everybody knows he's a great friend of all of us, but besides that, well before, everybody knew who the Junkyard Dog was. And to me, the whole thing about professional wrestling is you don't have to be the greatest technician in the world. If you're drawing, then that makes you one of the greatest of all times. And I don't know of very many that outdrew JYD in his prime. Yeah. The guy was on fire. And all these years later, people still talk about him. Over 20 years since he passed, people still bring up Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, and when we post a Junkyard Dog photograph, just recently we post one on Facebook with King Kong Bundy. It already has like 8,200 likes. Has been watched. I think been reached 160,000 people have actually looked at the photograph from that. So I mean, it's an incredible Junkyard Dog. Still to this day is a Junkyard Dog. Rodney, what do you think about it? 75.
I think what we've come to the conclusion before I begin with Junkyard Dog is that Dave Metzler is a moron. And anybody that listens to this idiot, you are wasting your time reading his trash, because that's exactly what it is. Because anybody who would disrespect the Junkyard Dog never saw him. You never went to the Superdome. You never went to Louisiana. And most of the time, Dave probably couldn't pull his way off the bar from his favorite bartender to appreciate the greatness of the Junkyard Dog. Maybe, I don't know.
Quite honestly, I saw a picture of him in his office here not too long ago, and it is so much. There's so much trash in there. I doubt he could find the door to actually go to a match.
Yes.
Well, anyway, that's the thing I didn't understand. He talked bad about the Junkyard Dog, but the problem was I don't think he went to many matches.
Yeah.
I think that he would take people's word for whatever they sent in, I guess people sent in stuff. But the Junkyard Dog, he wasn't in Shreveport, Louisiana when the building was rocking when he came out to the building. He wasn't in New Orleans, Louisiana when the people just went nuts. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Even in Atlanta, Georgia when he came out. People can say whatever they want to about that Junkyard Dog. When he came to Atlanta World Championship Wrestling and they brought him in, yes, he was not the same Junkyard Dog that he was in 1979, 1980, but he was over, and the Omni did come up in the attendance with the Junkyard Dog. Thunderbolt Patterson was also on that card, but it came up with those two guys on the card, and you have to give it to the Junkyard Dog because it wasn't drawing that to begin with. And I'm talking, it went up 4,000 or 5,000 people from what it had done prior to it. So Junkyard Dog deserves.
If anybody does not understand what we're saying about Junkyard Dog in the Mid-South, there's a match from Houston. It's Junkyard Dog, Dusty Rhodes against Kamala and Ted DiBiase. It's a bull rope and a chain match. Check it out. You will see that Junkyard Dog is more over than Dusty Rhodes, if you can imagine that. He was. Check it out.
Also, the thing about the Junkyard Dog was he, just like Jim Duggan, he was able to connect to the wrestling fans.
Yes.
He had a way of connecting to them. He knew how to connect to them. He understood how to connect to them. And he understood the one thing is he had to make them feel for him. And that's exactly what they did when Michael Hayes blinded the Junkyard Dog in Mid-South Wrestling. And they even went further and said he could not even see his baby be born. And that is how you get people to feel for someone. And the Junkyard Dog did it very well. And plus, Ted DiBiase and all the other ones also helped it out as well, as they was leading them around in his own home. They knew what they were doing, and Junkyard Dog knew what to do when he got to the arenas to make the people say, I want to see Junkyard Dog kick Michael Hayes' booty. And that was
we have to remember that Junkyard Dog just didn't, just appear. He had been wrestling for years before his big break. So he knew exactly what he was doing when the time came and it was his time to step up. He stepped up in a very big way.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Jack, number 75 on your list.
My 75 is the Belfast Bruiser, Dave Finlay.
Dave Finlay. Now, I would not put Dave Finlay, but boy, he is a tremendous wrestler, though. Now, he would probably not go on my list, but
yeah, he when he hit the United States, when he first hit for WCW, he had already been wrestling 22 years.
Wow!
By the time he came over in 1996, and I just remember watching he and William Regal, when they introduced Fit Finlay, and they started going at it. My first impression was these guys don't like each other. Because they were absolutely slinging leather out there. But it was fantastic, some of the matches they had. And I just became a huge fan of his from that day.
And believable. He was a believable wrestler. Probably if you watch AEW and whoever that guy was, that was the, I don't know, I guess he was an MMA fighter, but man, he might have been a good MMA fighter, but he wasn't good a wrestler. And but Fit Finlay, everything he did was believable. He made you believe what he was doing in the ring was real, because most of the time, possibly was. Rodney,
legitimate. He's completely legitimate when he got in the ring. That's important. That to me is important. Some people try to put on. There was no put on. It was what you see is what you get, and that's what you got. Yeah.
All right, Rodney, we'll go with you now. Number 75 on your list.
For whatever reason, I've been looking back for a while and been missing a lot of people. And one of them that I've come up with my number 75 is David Von Erich. Tremendous wrestler. Probably would have been the world heavyweight champion. When he, of course, we lost him way too soon. Tremendous wrestler. No matter where he went, whether it was Florida, whether it was St. Louis, he was a top draw. And it was important that when people brought him in, they knew exactly what they were going to do with him. They knew that he could produce. And I can see why that people would be seeing that he might be the world champion. And I think would have been a good one.
the thing, when you think about him, when you think about David Von Erich, a lot of people said some wrong things of why he passed away in Japan. He actually had some type of stomach problem that burst. So that's what happened to him after wrestling. He had been sick prior to that, and he actually Fritz Von Erich made him go. And he was sick when he went. So he'd already was sick before he got there. So David Von Erich would have been a world champion. He would have been good at it because they were getting him ready. He had went to Florida. They turned him heel there, and he was doing some great stuff. People hated him in Florida, and all you had to do is go back and watch the video. The videos tell the story. He was doing some nasty stuff, and they were really good at it. I think, be honest with you, I think all the Von Erichs could have been good at that. When you had to took Kevin Von Erich and brought him to Atlanta and made him a heel, I think he would have got some heat in Atlanta, Georgia. He just didn't get over as a baby face there, but I think he could have got over as a heel in Georgia. Jack, what do you think about David Von Erich?
Again, one of those heralded guys who his short time with us was absolutely at the top of the heap. And had he not been taken from us, I believe he would have been at the top for a lot of years.
I think when you look down at our top 100 list, I think if David Von Erich would have stayed with us, he would have been at the bottom of that list, maybe in Ric Flair's spot. Maybe Ric Flair would have never been there. It might have been David Von Erich. Ric Flair would maybe never have got the chance to be world champion. I mean, you never know. There's so many other wrestlers out there as well that passed away that could have been there. All right, guys, you ready to see who the people have got to our insiders? Let's see. Mike. Hey, this is Mike Rollerson. Did I get his name right?
You got it right the first time.
Hey, he's on YouTube. So he has subscribed to our YouTube channel. Thank you.
There you go.
And you can too. It's free, absolutely free. Subscribe to it. We're building about every week about 65 people subscribe to our YouTube channel. So get over there and subscribe because a lot of the stuff is going to be there, and and it's easier to find on YouTube. The videos are just easier to find. So get over there and subscribe. It is free, absolutely free. Michael Barr is with us. How you doing, Michael Barr? Bill Harris. How you doing, Bill Harris? Hey, you all like that shirt?
Well, thank you very much. I've been wearing it for a while. It's just great.
I would be wearing a Festus shirt, but Bill's never had any printed up.
Kevin Penley, my number 75, the Invisible Man, the Jim Cornette version. Well, did they have an Invisible Man? Did they really do
Yeah,
that?
well, you never saw him.
That's right.
See how good the guy pulled it off?
Jeez, he was good.
Wow.
And yes, there was an Invisible Man. Not as a regular anywhere, but there was an Invisible Man. Dad told us the story about the guy did not have an opponent. He went out there, body slammed the Invisible Man, picked him up, slammed him, dropped the elbow on him, pinned him 1, 2, 3. Don't you remember Dad telling that story?
I remember the story, in whatever territory it was, I can guarantee you that is the reason to quit drawing.
Now, Nightmare Danny Davis was telling me about the time he went to Mexico, and he said they were way out. He said, I'm just thankful that I rode with somebody. He said, or I'll still be there. But he said that they had the Invisible Man on the card, and he said that match got over better than anything else on that show.
So when people see it today, and it has been done, so by the way, it has been done, and the age standards, it was done years ago. It's nothing new. It was done back then.
I'm wondering how much tequila was involved.
I watched the video where they did the Invisible Man. I don't know how they did it, but it actually, when the person would walk on the mat, it would move it would go down in the spots where the Invisible Man was supposed to be. Now, how they did that, I don't know. And the guy really had to match with him. I think it was in Japan. So, people will buy a ticket to see anything, and they'll go buy a ticket to see one guy against nobody. So, it tells you you can sell a ticket with it if it's done correctly. Because remember, Frankenstein drew a lot of money. Jason
and the Mummy. The
And the
Mummy was
Mummy.
big.
So a lot of the Mummy. Ramirez, I think it was his name. He made a living out of being the Mummy and going all over the.
And it seemed like Jarrett had one called the Creeper. It seemed like.
I think
Very different.
Let's see, Victor Nash. Hello, everyone. I hope all is well. My number 75 is Austin Idol. Jack has already had Austin Idol on his list.
And I had the original Superstar Billy Graham on mine.
I think Jack is throwing something at his dog.
I am. I forgot to put the gate up.
Uh-oh.
That was an empty bottle. I got a full one over here with her name on it.
Uh-oh.
Austin Idol, number 75. We've talked about Austin Idol. We won't go into thing about Austin Idol. But Austin Idol, there was a time that I really did like Austin Idol. It's just when I met him later on in years that I didn't much care for Austin Idol. Let's see. I would put Ron Bass somewhere up around 75. Michael Barr. Yes, I would. Ron Bass knew what he was doing inside the ring.
Yes, he did.
He did.
And he was a big, impressive man. He was a big man.
All right. Michael Barr said, Austin, who?
Yeah, Michael did not have a good experience with Austin.
My real number 75 is Lonnie Mayne over Big in California. What also was Moondog Mayne, was?
Moondog Mayne certainly was.
That is the person. Moondog Mayne is one of the persons that beat up one of those Rotens in Atlanta at the Atlanta City Auditorium and put it in our father's bag, Ron West, and thought it was dead, but it wasn't. He came alive later on that night. So
there's a great story Dad talked about Moondog Mayne. It was in Albany, I believe, and Moondog Mayne was against Mr. Wrestling number 2. And 2 caught Mayne with a knee lift, and he fell between the ropes. And sometimes the wrestlers would slide down the ropes all the way to the floor. Well, this time where they hooked the mat down had a hook on it, and as he slid down the ring apron, he caught his tights, and his tights pulled all the way up to his knees. And so they're there counting. Dad's counting. He said, "Well, why isn't he getting up?" So he keeps counting. He pushed 2 back. He comes back, and he said, "Why isn't he coming up?" He looks down, and Mayne is laughing. He can't move. He's up. He stripped the front row, and the whole side of the building is laughing because he's flashing the whole thing. Finally, he had to get out of the ring, unloosen him. He pulled his ties back up and finished the match.
By the way, he must have been I don't think we ever met him, but he must have been a character.
He said when he looked down, he was just laughing. And so, because they couldn't figure out why the people were laughing. Of course, they couldn't see him. All they could see his 2 feet up in the air. Couldn't figure out why in the world he wasn't moving.
Is there any videos of him on YouTube?
I'm not sure.
I would like to see him. Dad had nothing but great things to say about Lonnie Mayne, Moondog Mayne.
There might be some stuff from World Championship Wrestling Australia that's on there because I believe he was there on one of those.
All right, my number 75. The big cat, Ernie Ladd. And he says, "Go Braves." Hey, wait a minute now. What is he saying "Go Braves" for? What is it? I mean, is there a reason for this?
There are some Lonnie Mayne, Moondog Mayne stuff on quite a few I'm looking at. One match between Roddy Piper.
Whoa! I am going to have to watch those. I'm going to have to get in there and watch those. Ernie Ladd, very much lower on my list. I'm pretty sure. I'm not even going to. I know Ernie Ladd is on Rodney's list. I don't even have to say that. Ernie Ladd was one of our favorite wrestlers of all time and such a nice man. There was no time that he wasn't a nice person. He never got to where he believed his stuff. Now, he might have when he first started, but by the time we had talked to him, he did not. He was such a nice guy. Ernie Ladd, what do y'all think about Ernie Ladd?
I thought Ernie Ladd was great. I only got to see him live one time against Ole Anderson. Ernie was the heel, and it was an amazing match. And had the whole building standing by the time that they were getting ready to go home with it. So great experience with him. I used to love watching his interviews.
Oh yeah, they were so good, Mr. TV announcer. It was so good. Rodney, the big cat, Ernie Ladd.
Yeah, Ernie Ladd, one of our favorites. I remember getting on Atlanta TV. Everybody talking down the side of their neck. Yonk, yonk, yonk. Everybody was doing it. He always had some kind of catchphrase wherever he was at, and he kept relevant everywhere he went. Just awesome, awesome stuff. And he said, my favorite one is "Don't talk me to death, Mr. TV announcer." That was my favorite.
We used that for years, by the way.
Yeah.
I still use that. I still use that when I tell my wife all the time, "Don't talk me to death." I always use it. I'll tell you, Ernie was always, he called it "you egg sucking dog." Very Funk did as well. But I always, when he got to Louisiana in 1984, 85. His deal was every one of his interviews, he would say, "You better get on the phone and call somebody and tell them the big cat Ernie Ladd is coming to town." I always thought that was great. Ernie was tremendous. Ernie was a tremendous, and everywhere he went, he drew money. Glenn Allen Shelton said the biggest thing in Mid-South. Yes, I would agree. Junkyard Dog probably it was one of the biggest stars Mid-South wrestling had seen. Yeah. No one, even though the Rock and Roll Express got over, the Rock and Roll Express, Jim Duggan, Fantastics, they got over, but never to the extent of the Junkyard Dog. Even like we said, Dusty Rhodes wasn't even over there.
Not like Junkyard Dog. It was amazing.
All right, here we go. Michael Barr, JYD, was one of the best draws in wrestling, and he was, and you had to know that he was over to a certain extent when he got to WWF because they just didn't put anybody on that cartoon. They put people on that they thought they could sell merchandise of, and they knew they could sell a lot of merchandise of Junkyard Dog and Wendy Richter and I don't know, Hulk Hogan. I can't remember whoever. I guess it was Lou Albano on that as well.
Yeah, yes. I believe so.
Because they did little. I just remember one time. This has nothing to do with 100, but they did this little vignette where Tito Santana was there, and Lou Albano was making a sandwich. He was the sandwich maker, and Lou Albano took a bite of his sandwich and his pickle, and Tito Santana said, "Well, why would you do that for?" He said, "Well, let me ask you a question. You don't want me not to find out if the sandwich is good before you eat it." He said, "Well, what about my pickle?" He said, "Well, you don't want a bad pickle. It make you sick." It was
those vignettes though that they did was better than a cartoon. Cartoon was sorry.
Yeah, the vignettes was very good back in those days. And hello, Victor. He's saying hello to Victor, Michael Barr, Jason Hawkins. To this day, when I hear another one bites the dust, all I think of is JYD's ring interest. I do the same thing when I'll tell my wife, "There's the Junkyard Dog," and then the same thing when Bad to the Bone hits. I think about the Bullet, Bob Armstrong, and it's great memories. Great memories of that. Good evening, guys, from Greg and Victoria Hodge. Let's see. Brian Young is with us. And Brian Young says, "My number 75 is Greg Valentine. The first Valentine on my list." Spoiler alert. Jack, Greg Valentine, I think we talked about him before. Tremendous wrestler. And I think Johnny Valentine is going to be on his list as well.
Greg Valentine, I thought was great. I thought his best years were in Mid-Atlantic. But he was still great, I thought, in WWE. Maybe not utilized the right way, but you know, in an era of cartoon wrestling, Greg Valentine was still a legit deal up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Greg Valentine, Rodney.
And one of my favorite matches is Valentine against Ronnie Garvin, Madison Square Garden. It was a chop fest that they would never forget. I love that match. In fact, to this day, I have to look it up ever so often because that was the deal. And it was something no one else was doing at the time. And I'm telling you, it was great. And Valentine could gauge the crowd, see what needed to be done, and go out there and deliver.
Gary, well, how would you say that name?
Carefully.
Yes.
Bill Watts of Mid-South Wrestling made the Junkyard Dog, and I saw him wrestle many times in Louisiana. He was a great wrestler, but also don't forget that Buck Robley, Colonel Buck Robley, also he gets a lot of the credit for the Junkyard Dog because what I had heard is Bill Watts wanted to get rid of the Junkyard Dog and get somebody else from Florida. And Buck Robley said, no, let's stick with the Junkyard Dog. Let's stick with Sylvester because I'm telling you, he's going to get over. He's going to get over. So you have to give a lot of credit to Buck Robley. I don't think Buck Robley gets enough credit out there for that. I mean,
Sylvester always spoke highly of him. Maybe not so much of Bill, but he really thought a lot of Buck.
And I don't think he gets enough credit. Buck Robley does not get enough credit. And sometimes I don't think Bill Watts gives Buck Robley enough credit. And what he did with the Junkyard Dog and the Freebirds while they were there, because I think Bill Watts really wanted to get rid of the Freebirds. He didn't like Michael Hayes, but really who did? But, but that's a different story. But that you knew there were going to be money with them. And I think Buck Robley he was smart enough to know that these guys are money. Rodney, what do you think? Does Buck Robley not get enough credit for the Junkyard Dog?
No, he gets no credit for the Junkyard Dog. Everybody else is taking credit for him, but he was there. He was instrumental in it. And in fact, if you look at those main events, it's Junkyard Dog and Buck Robley against the Freebirds. So that should tell you all you need to know, that Robley was very much involved with the whole thing.
Yeah,
as well as Ernie Ladd as well. Ernie Ladd was involved with that too.
Yes. Just anytime you think of the Junkyard Dog, think of Buck Robley because he did push him. Number 75, Colton Martin said number 75 would be Ken Shamrock. Jack, what do you think about Ken Shamrock? I don't think he made my list, but what do you think about Ken?
He did not make my list because he just simply was not in the territory era. But I was on some cards with Ken when he first started. I don't remember what that gimmick was that he did initially, but nice guy. I thought he had a great career. In fact, I thought he still had a lot of gas left in the tank to be able to do some stuff in the business when he left.
What did he wrestle as? He did wrestle as something else. He wasn't Ken Shamrock.
Valentine.
Vince Torelli.
Vince Torelli. That's
was his name. Yeah. And that's what we saw. But first we saw him over at Mid-Atlantic for George Scott, his own organization, that Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Association. I don't know who the announcer was, but Vince Torelli was on there.
Yeah, he was. He's good. Now, he didn't make my list. But yes, he was very good. I think, Jack, you actually went there. I think Dad went there. I think you and a couple of guys traveled with
some great road trips. We ever do an R-rated episode, I can tell you about them.
I think Ricky Steamboat was there. I believe he was one of the stars. Kevin Penley, can you have Jerry Oates back on? Yes, we can do that. We can have Jerry back on.
Nasty Boys was a part of that too.
Yes, they were. I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico with them, and then I smartened up.
Hello, guys. Richard Hood. Jeff Davis tells us hello. Let's see. Number 75, all of the Von Erichs.
See, me and Greg and Victoria, we're all on the same page.
All the Von Erichs. Now, I don't know. Does Chris... Are we talking about the original Von Erichs, David, Kevin, and Kerry? I don't know if I can put Chris and Mike in that one.
David, Kevin, and Kerry most certainly deserve it.
Yes. It's obvious that they're talking about Fritz and Waldo.
I don't know that I'd include Fritz in my top 100.
I don't know.
Matter of fact, I know I didn't.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that they're Chris and Mike, but I do believe I believe that Kerry was tremendous, David was great, and Kevin was great. They were all, now, and believe me, what they did in the ring looked good because most of the time they were really walloping you, and you were in there. What do you think, Rodney? Von Erichs, you picked off Von Erichs. Do you think that on your list would you put the other two on that list?
Well, I cannot divulge who's on my list, as you will know. That would be no. We're not divulging what we're on my list. But we can say that they may or may not be on my list. Up above that,
we're going to have to do that T-shirt because we're a quarter way through this list already.
Junkyard Dog was over in Championship Wrestling in Florida. Yeah, I've never seen the stuff he did.
Hey, Victor, what years was he there? If you remember that, because I don't. I know Duggan was there for a while, but I don't remember Junkyard Dog being there. So what year was that?
Richard Hood said JYD was the first black man to lead a territory, but Thunderbolt Patterson was way before him, wasn't he?
I think Thunderbolt. You could make a case for Bobo Brazil.
Yeah, because he drew money where he went, and they even put the world title on him, even though they didn't. For some reason, he said he didn't want to take it because whoever it was, Buddy Rogers or somebody, was sick. But there's a lot that came before him. Now, I will mention Junkyard Dog probably. I don't know, because when you look at Thunderbolt drew a lot of money in South Carolina. He drew a lot of money in Georgia. So I don't know. Yeah,
in Florida and in Australia. He was huge in Australia.
Jeff, I don't know what you want us to message you about, but you can message us whatever you need to message us.
But I think what Richard's point is that he was the main man. He was basically.
That's true.
I mean, we're talking about the Hulk Hogan of Mid-South is what he was.
Yeah,
I would. This was sure Thunderbolt and all those were all over, but I'm not sure they were over to the extent of Junkyard Dog.
That's true. I would agree with that. What do you think, Jack?
I agree.
So by the way, Jeff Davis, just if you need something, just message us on Facebook, and then we'll get back with you. Just message whatever you need.
That's our way of saying we're going to forget to message you.
I'm sorry, we will, because once we get off of here, we're starting to work on next week's show, and also the new wrestling conversation that we're going to start doing on November 2nd. So we're starting to work on it. So just messages, and then we'll get back to you when we have the opportunity. Richard Hood, he was in Stampede. Yes, Junkyard Dog. Sylvester Ritter, he was the bad guy. Jake the Snake Roberts. You can watch it. Jake the Snake Roberts, and I think they had a ladder match, didn't they?
One of the first credited ladder matches in history.
So you can go and watch that and it's available. I think it's available on YouTube. I think you can watch that. Doug Masters is with us again. Make sure you get over there and look at his podcast. Watch his podcast. Very good podcast. You just look it up at Doug Masters on Facebook. Rick Brooks, how's it going? Everything is going good. Michael Barr, it was wrestlers like Junkyard Dog that brought the fans to the arenas. Yes. Bill Harris, I think he got it now. I'm not for sure what he got. What did he get?
He better have my Festus T-shirt. That better be what he's got.
Finley became a trainer. I think that's what he was trying to say. Glenn Allen Shelton, a good trainer as well.
Yeah, and he was a producer for WWE. I don't know if he's still up there or not, but he was behind the scenes for a lot of years.
Jason Hawkins. Oh, go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say his son is now in New Japan, I believe. So he's kid's up and coming. He'll go somewhere. He's got this much talent compared to his dad. He'll go somewhere.
Have you seen him wrestle?
No, I have not.
Because Fit Finley was tremendous. So, but the problem is they train their sons to wrestle a way that most people will cry when they get through wrestling with them. So,
well, see, but if in New Japan, I think that was what would get him over right now.
That's true.
Being able to work that style, and AEW seems to appreciate that. Some guys do there. Now, if you're relying on super kicks, you're probably not going to like being in the ring with a Finley.
Are you that MMA fighter that did you have through wrestling on TV? Whew. Regal versus Finley put together some super matches on Nitro in 1996. He also had some amazing stiff matches with Chris Benoit.
Yep.
Steve Richards, great singles wrestlers, especially in Cold Winter's Glove matches and Dynamite when tagging with Don Jardine, number 75 on my list, Dutch Savage. And
Dutch
I don't
Savage.
believe that I ever saw him wrestle.
I never did either.
But he must have been tremendous.
Steve, what area was that in?
I know he wrestled in Portland.
Yeah,
because he bought into the Portland territory. Am I correct? He had part of the run some of the towns, I believe, in Portland. If that's the same Dutch Savage. Kevin Penley, how long do you think David Von Erich would have been in WWE? For a long time? I think he would have been champion for a long time. I think he would have held it as long as Flair held the title. He was just that good. I mean, David was the best wrestler of the Von Erichs. He knew it. He had everything that it needed to take to be world champion. Wendy Harkins, evening guys. Hope all is well. Yes, we are doing good. Number 75, Mr. Fuji from Charles Bellflower.
Right.
Oh, I hurt you.
Going to make you suffer, boy.
Now, if we were doing a top 100 of guys who pull great ribs, Fuji's number one.
Yes.
But Fuji was, where he was in the Carolinas, where he was in WWE, he was normally one of the top guys, always.
Yep.
Fuji was really, really good.
Like
to make you suffer. Make them suffer.
I know he was always. Both Finley and Les Thornton would put on a clinic every time they got in the ring. Yes. Jerry Stubbs is Richard Hood's number 75. And Jerry Stubbs, for those of you who don't know who Jerry Stubbs is, look him up. You can look up Mr. Olympia, or you can look up Jerry Stubbs. Tremendous wrestler. Probably could be a top 10. He was that good. The only problem, he only stayed in a very small territory. But man, he was one of the best. There's no doubt, one of the best. George Lamprint, our Ben Masters. Let's get ready to rumble. You know something, Ben? You always got to cause some grief. See, that's what Ben's trying to do. He's trying to. You know they would pay that man $10,000. WCW would. And I asked for my motel room to be paid, and had a problem with it. So, man, sakes alive. Oh, they said, well, we're already paying you pretty good. Well, not good enough to pay for that motel room I want you to pay for. But, I actually did not make trips because they wouldn't pay it. And still paid that Michael Buffer $10,000 to do one match. One match.
That's money well spent.
You know what? I'm in a bad mood now, Jackie. I'll go. You and Rodney gonna have to just finish this show. That Ben has put me in a bad mood.
Ben turned heel.
Glenn Allen Shelton, been Flair and Von Erich. Don't know if Dusty and Mix as much. Them three would have been interesting. Yes, they would have. Just think of the matches that David Von Erich would have had with people.
Yeah.
Just tremendous matches he would have had and going all over. Bill Harris said he would get you a t-shirt. He said, I'll get you one. So evidently he's going to order one. Victor Nash said I skipped his. I skipped Victor Nash's.
Oh.
Let's go back. I don't see where I skipped it. Did it not come through? Well, go ahead and put it on there again because I don't know that it came through. I don't see it. If we skipped it, maybe we went back to it. Maybe we did get it in. That happened 5 minutes ago. I can't remember what we did 5 minutes ago. To be honest with you. But get it back to us again, and let's make sure we got it in there. Anyone remember Man Mountain Harris? Yes, that was Rick Harris, wasn't it?
I believe so.
It was.
Our Black Bart, for those of you who know who he is. Rodney, go see Shockwave, the robot, on YouTube? What is he?
We will find out. I'll check it out this week, and we'll discuss that next week.
All right.
Shockwave the robot. Okay.
JYD was over to such a level that one fan in Owens brought a pistol to the arena and was ready to shoot Michael Hayes to defend Dog's honor. Yes, if that doesn't show how over he was with the fans, I'm not sure what does. Yes, and evidently, our friend Dave, they don't understand. He didn't understand that. He drew money. I guess he just didn't understand the drawing money aspect of professional wrestling. But now he believes everybody in the AEW is all great. So I don't know. They can't all be great. Guys, I'm back on Facebook. Richard Hood must have got thrown off of Facebook for a time. So now let's get back to Wendy Harkins. My number 75 is Tully Blanchard. Yes, Tully Blanchard deserves to be the tremendous wrestler. I believe, going back and looking at Tully Blanchard, I believe he might have been better than Ric Flair. As far as in-ring wrestling, tremendous. And go back and watch this stuff. Tremendous stuff.
Let's just say that by the time we get into the top 10, there's going to be some heads exploding about my opinion of Ric Flair.
Rodney, Tully Blanchard.
Ditto with Mr. Lord here this evening. Tully Blanchard. All you have to do is watch World Championship Wrestling when Jim Crockett took over in Atlanta. He was stealing that show. He and Baby Doll was the show for probably the first 6-8 months. They were the show. And Blanchard was able to produce every time he got in the ring. And it didn't matter who he was in the ring with, whether it was Magnum TA or whoever they put, Gerald Finley, whoever they put him in the ring with. He brought, he put on a match every single time. And I think that was his strong suit. I think the worst thing, I'm just going to say it, the worst thing that happened to Tully Blanchard was being a part of the Four Horsemen. It hid him. And same thing with Arn Anderson. It hid them. They didn't need to be a part of an entourage. They were themselves a great draw by themselves. They didn't need to be a part of a group.
I think we already said number 75, Richard Hood, Jerry Stubbs. I think we already
Yep.
that. George, I shouldn't even go over Ben's stuff over here. He said the women's pet and the men's regret. He's talking about Austin Idol. So evidently his number 7.
And most men that worked with him regretted it.
But number 75, Kevin Von Erich. Hey, there's someone else that's got the Von Erichs. Joel Bateman got him. Moondog Mayne. We'll go through some of these real quick because we're going to run out of time. Moondog Mayne was big in San Francisco. Yes. Mike said, remember reading about the Moondog in the magazines. Very interesting man. Justin Musgrove. Jumping Joey Maggs.
Hey, I like Joey. He didn't make my list, but I love working on cards with him.
A nice guy. Yeah. A very nice guy. So I would go with that. My number 75, his number 75 is Ted Oates.
Ted Oates.
If that was the men's regret, though, I'm not sure of that. Ted Oates, tremendous wrestler. He was a tremendous wrestler. We've talked about him on here before. PNW Wrestling Moondog Mayne is on YouTube. I guess PNW Wrestling. Let's see. Braves win. Braves win in WS World Series. I'm guessing they're in the. I didn't even know they were in the World Series.
They're going, I believe.
They're going to the World Series. They're going to. I guess he's saying they're going to win the World Series. I don't keep up with baseball. I do good to keep up with football. Michael Barr, Dutch Mantel. His line was, good ex.
He did.
Charles said Moondog Mayne made a mistake during his first appearance in Athens and tried to come in the front door where fans were in line to get tickets. Words would exchange. Some I have never heard.
The good old J&J Center.
Yes. Hey, they still got the J&J flea market. I noticed that was still around. The J&J, I guess that's right there around that area, the J&J flea market. Rick Brooks. Ernie may be the only guy in wrestling that was also a Super Bowl champion. The first champ, Ken in Alabama. The TNA first champ, Ken in Alabama. You talking about Ken? Is he talking about Ken?
Ken, yeah, Ken Shamrock won the TNA championships on a taping here in Huntsville.
In Huntsville, the first one they did. That
yep, I was there that night.
What was that guy? Toby Keith was there, wasn't he?
Yep.
Ken Shamrock is on his list. Joel Bateman. Richard Hood said Ken Shamrock got into it with the Nasty Boys. Yes, great story, by the way. Robert Fuller tells this story that happened. So if you want to go in the whole story, Robert Fuller tells that story. Now, that's his side of the story. I think the Nasty Boys have told their story, and I think Ken Shamrock will tell their story. So I don't know if they all match up. So somebody needs to do and see if they all match up to what happened. Buck Robley was the booker when I promoted Southern Championship Wrestling. He was very impressive with his wrestling knowledge. Yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did in the wrestling business and the people that he got over. Let's see. Frizz Von Erich, trained by Stu Hart. I was not. Did y'all know that? Yeah, I did. I was not aware that they did. Frizz may be or may not be the only Von Erich on my list. David was good, but died too young to know how great he could have been. Gary looked better than he was. Kevin was okay, but not too 100 good.
Brian, I would fully go in with you, but the Bills lost last night, and
Richard said, Rodney, you are correct. Buzz trained Shamrock. Then they worked together, making prospects change their minds after being wrestlers. The Bun is with us. The Bun will be in Arab, Alabama on Saturday, October 30th at the Rec Center. Tickets are on sale now. Just get in touch with Jack, and he can get your tickets. But he said the Bun is late to the party, but I'm here, fellows. Respect the Bun. So you can respect the Bun.
I'm thinking about not even making the Bun buy a ticket to get in this time.
Hey, did he ever give us Rodney? Can you look on down there and see if he gave us our his before we leave? Because what he says we missed it, but I'm not for sure.
No, he hasn't. I don't think he didn't retype it.
Because I can't find it. I can't find where you sent it. Can't forget Rufus R. Jones. No one was bigger in Tennessee. Mickey Mayfield. Someone booed the Bun. I'll do that. Boo. That was horrible, but that was a horrible boo, about like they do in the NWA Power Hour. Let's see. Boo don't like buns. David Bice. Good evening, guys. From David from Soddy Daisy, Tennessee, just right down the road in Soddy Daisy. Also, why I am doing this, I want to say hello to Todd Davis, the owner of the Harlem Wizards, and I'd like to say hello to you, and hope you are doing well. Colton Martin, I think he said reject the button.
There you go.
Glenn Allen Shelton. And Impact, if it don't abuse Finley and Juice
Robinson.
They probably will. Glenn Allen, Shelton, Will Ospreay. Is that how you say his name?
Ospreay.
Going MLW is amazing. When New Japan Pro Wrestling was on Access TV.
I agree with that.
Richard Hood said Dave Savage was a big draw in Georgia in the 60s. Michael Barr. Was Dutch Savage and Frank Savage one of the same persons? I don't know.
Two different guys.
Dutch Savage wrestled for Nick Goulas under another name.
He wrestled as Dutch Savage, Dutch Schultz, Mr. X, and Lonnie Brown. He was Lonnie Brown at the beginning of his career.
All right.
I'm not sure which of those names was there, but that was his name.
Dutch Savage mostly did this thing in Oregon and Washington. I think he did buy into that territory, or at least ran some towns for the Owen, Don Owen. Was it? Glenn Allen Shelton wasn't worth it to me. He wasn't worth it to me. Stayed in boxing. I guess he's saying that the guy should have stayed in boxing. The Rock very high on my list. I will say most people probably don't like it, but The Rock's probably high on my list as well. And there was nobody that entertained me more than Rock did. I have to give it. He did entertainment. Now he might not be on Rodney's list, and he might not be on Jack's list. We will find out. Let's see. I heard Thunderbolts say that way before Austin Idol. I'm not for sure. What was we talking about that he said? That?
Women's pet, the men's regret.
Oh, I got you.
It's very possible.
And Brian Young is booing the bun as well.
He's booing Jack's comment about his Bills getting thrashed.
Oh, there you go.
Well, they weren't thrashed; they were just beaten soundly.
By the way, the bun again will be in Arab, Alabama, Saturday, October 30th, live. Booing the bun. That's what we'll be doing on October 30th. So there you go. And also, Christian also had to say, from a hot dog and a handshake to not having to buy a ticket, I'm moving up.
There you go.
He's moving
I
on.
never gave him a hot dog.
Chris Jericho, I don't think made my list. I don't think he made my list. He may have. I don't remember.
No, that's his list. Everyone is on Chris Jericho's list. Every wrestler, every person, people sitting up in the audience, across the street, in the cab.
Now, before we leave, we can do commentary. Chris Jericho commentary. Oh my gosh, he did this all the time. He did a headlock. Oh my goodness gracious. He yells everything he says. Everything he says, he yells it out.
Well, he's a metal singer. Of course he yells.
Thank y'all so much for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. We certainly do appreciate it. We come on here, we have fun, and we talk about the wrestlers, but we respect each and every one of them. They got in the ring, they did what they entertained us. Some entertained us better than others, but we appreciate you being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. We will return next week. And there's no telling what we're going to talk about, especially the wrestling conversation. That show, we don't know what we're going to talk about, and we figure it out right as the show's going to go on, and we just make it up. And so we wing it like wrestling used to be winged. And so we thank you so much. Rodney, anything we need to talk about before we
Glenn Allen Shelton wants us to talk about pro wrestling tees. So
Jack, I'll let you hit that one.
Go get your official shirt, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out at ProWrestlingTees.com. We got a few different selections, more stuff coming soon.
And I am working on some stuff. We're working on we have actually got new ways that you can support Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Maybe if you want to buy some flowers for your loved ones, we've got that coming up. We got a lot of stuff going to come up on November 2nd. So join us next week right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Rodney, thank you so much. Jack, thank you. And we'll see everyone next week.
And go buy Brian Young's book.
There you go. Buy the book.
Help him be able to afford to get a better football team to cheer for. Love you, Brian.